received an interesting email from YouTube today. Apparently one of the videos I uploaded violated their community guidelines and needed to be removed. And of course, I was curious, okay, well, what specifically did I violate? And they said that my content violated the policy of inciting others to commit specific violent acts. One of my studio page saw the warning, looked up the video that caused all the trouble, and apparently one of my 12 viewers had issues with it. YouTube gave me the option to write an appeal, and noting that they provided the specific details here that it was a violent criminal organization's content that incites others to commit specific violent acts. So I put my appeal as at YouTube's position that Black Lives Matters is a violent criminal organization, or is it the case that YouTube is run by totalitarian communists that hate truth and free speech? You be the judge. And while YouTube does want to keep things in the shadow and hide the truth from you, I do not. So here's the video they took down.
Really want to hear from Shut It Down DC about this. Do we have any plans for how to respond if there's a coup?
Yeah, we have been in discussion for a couple months about how to respond to different contested election scenarios. First step is that we think that we need to start the post-election phase in the streets. Congress is planning on coming to town and passing laws again and like having business as usual. And we're saying if we're in a coup, there's no time for business as usual.
I heard someone in the chat talking about revolution time. And so I encourage, for all of us to be fighting for revolution before today, tomorrow, afterwards.
We're facing an administration and a potential coup and a potential insurrection where efforts to criminalize this are going to be even greater. Understanding that everything that we're doing now in this moment is laying the groundwork for what is going to come. Is there going to be a war? Are people going to get killed? Is that on anybody else's mind? I'm guessing it is. We're going to see potential fighting all over the country or in some hot spots. And we might need to think about that. And I know, as I said earlier, how we may find ourselves in the streets with people with different tactics than ours, but there may be some people that are willing to break the windows to get into the government buildings. If that's what we need to do, then we shouldn't fight about that. Let's do that. Let's take over the buildings.
Text them, leak everything you can. The journalists I've dealt with have been super ethical in ways to shield me, to be the source of the leaks.
Groups on the outside being able to show solidarity with federal workers.
Making sure that we're naming what is happening as a coup.
Totally agreed. In the shutdown DC conversations that I've been having, and that's not on the federal side, we also are often saying, call it a coup. It's a coup. Don't let anyone tell you it's not.
President Harry S. Truman famously said, "I thought I was the president, but when it comes to these bureaucrats, I can't do a damn thing." So the bottom line with this is that we all, as ordinary people and as federal workers, have power. If masses of people engage in non-cooperation, no ruler can stay in power. Bureaucracy is a really powerful pillar. And, federal workers have unparalleled familiarity with the bureaucratic process. They know how to speed things up. They know how to slow them down. They have access to critical information about policies that are being considered and implemented. They can participate in internal decision-making. They can provide or deny knowledge and expertise that those at the top of the bureaucratic totem pole need. It ultimately comes down to individual decisions and personal choice. Deciding what to do or what not to do is a very personal decision. It's based on context. It's based on your rank, on your tolerance for risk, on your preparation, and frankly, where you sit in the federal bureaucracy. And we're talking about the range of different tactics. We talk about acts of commission and acts of omission. And another act of commission, albeit highly, risky, and there are a number of great downsides, is leaking. So leaking information about pending or actual policies with journalists, with activists, influential people on the outside. So another act of commission is creating parallel structures or self-organizing units. So organizing in the office place, in the workplace.
As an attorney in the federal government, I am finding the chat suggestions very interesting, and I just do want to remind people that we lose our status as federal employees if we strike.
And there's been a little conversation going on here, for example, about Black Lives Matter and how that is an example of a nonpartisan political statement. I guess that's been previously litigated, but whether or not you do a misdemeanor or an infraction on federal property or on public property really doesn't affect most of the jobs that you would be considered for.
Yeah, as an attorney, I think we're highly, that's one of the things we have to be careful about.
I would just say this is also the importance of being in communication with and in touch with groups, civic groups, grassroots groups that are preparing people for the possibility that red lines may be crossed, that the election goes sideways, so everything from choose democracy to hold the line, to shut down, we count on us. I listed a few of those in the slides earlier, but they're the ones who are really in the vanguard of helping people think about, interpret red lines, and think about different actions that can be taken well beyond kind of street protests and demonstrations, but kind of sustained organizing and action.
What does it look like in practical terms to put, to slow the gears down in some ways or another?
At the Department of Labor, it takes the form of several rounds of the cost-benefit analysis for a new regulation. And when people were cheating on the numbers, a copy of that draft got leaked to the Daily Labor Report, and it got published, and it got sent to a congressperson. And the Office of Inspector General opened an investigation on who was cheating on the numbers. So again, that's sort of a combination of tactics. It's making a really good paper trail. It's making sure that document got out to someone who could make use of it, and then Congress getting the Office of Inspector General involved. It was really a way to stop that thing just in its tracks, and it worked really well.